everyone. Welcome back to the show. Hi, Vibes and the Mic. I'm your host, Veronique. And today we have Dr. Tara Perry. She's a clinical hypnotherapist, a doctor of acupuncture and Chinese medicine. She specializes in core trauma transformation, helping people get to the root of their biggest block, connect to their authentic selves, and thrive in deep confidence peace. And for 25 years, Dr. Perry has successfully treated celebrities, Olympians, first responders, world record holders, doctors, scientists, teachers, parents, and children. Clients suffering from anxiety, PTSD, stress, trauma addiction, pain, insomnia, and a variety of other challenges have discovered the power of their subconscious mind to heal better and faster than they thought possible. Dr. Perry has been featured on Lifetime Television, Esquire Magazine, UCLA, Brown, and more. For 10 years, Dr. Perry taught at the #1 acupuncture college in California. In 2000, she was chosen to be the first acupuncture teacher at the famous Arthur Ashe Center. Dr. Perry hosts her own podcast as well, available on all major platforms, called Next Level Healing. I really recommend it. So now let's talk to her. Right? How are you today, Dr. Tara?
Doing wonderful, Veronique. Very nice to be here with you.
Yeah, sure. So today we're going to talk about healing, different kind of healing. So Dr. Tara has different certification, has been trained by world-renowned physicians. So I want to start with this therapy that you do. It's called the core trauma transformation. Can you tell us how different it is from traditional therapy methods?
So yeah, for 23 years, I did acupuncture and nutritional medicine. I was in Southern California, UCLA and Emperor's College. And when I found a methodology to help connect to the subconscious mind, we all know, scientists now know that only 5 to 10% of our brain is our conscious mind, and 90 to 95% of it is our subconscious mind, and our conscious mind is only capable of processing about 40 bits of information per second, where your subconscious mind is processing 40 million bits of information per second. So if your conscious mind wants to go in one direction and your subconscious mind wants to go in another direction, who's going to win that? So standard therapy, and in fact, a lot of what most hypnotists are doing out there is connecting to the conscious mind. The subconscious mind really does speak in kind of a different language. It doesn't think in a linear way of speaking. So you can't logically very easily get the subconscious mind to change. It has to, speaks a lot in pictures and feelings, and there's rules of the mind that the subconscious mind will behave and respond to that the conscious mind, it's functioning on different rules. So I've had so many people that were in therapy for 10, 15, 20, 30 years and didn't get the result that they were looking for, but in just a few sessions working with me, they were able to accomplish those things. So they were having, debilitating migraines. I had one woman who had chronic debilitating daily seizures. I've had people with chronic debilitating daily panic attacks. And in just a few sessions, they've reduced significantly or eliminated them. So when I found, again, how consistently this was helping people, I've even had people with back pain, which again is a real hallmark for acupuncture, because acupuncture is wonderful for pain. But he had done acupuncture, he'd done chiropractic, he had broken his spine 40 years ago in a motorcycle accident. And I said, you know what, why don't we just go to Command Central, which is what I now call the subconscious mind, and find out what's getting in the way of your healing. Because if you break your femur, which is the thickest bone in your body, that should be healed better than ever in just 8 weeks. So by removing what's ever getting in the way of the healing, whether it's stress, anxiety, unworthiness, some form of fight or flight that's depleting the energy reserves available to the body, you now free up those energy reserves and you're able to get over a myriad of problems. I've had people that were allergic to everything but 5 foods, who had Lyme's disease and mold and babesia and all kinds of crazy things. And they were doing acupuncture twice a week and neurofeedback and biofeedback and weren't able to get past and in just a few sessions, they didn't need all those doctor's visits anymore. And these are all documented. I have their stories are all on my YouTube channel and on my podcast, Next Level Healing.
Okay, so there's one or two things to unpack here that I wanted to ask you about. So first, you're talking about hypnotism. So these people you're talking about, where they're under hypnotism and you hypnotize them and you look for in the subconscious, what could be the cause of trauma And you have that with them?
So that's a great question. Most people have no idea what hypnosis is. I like to say that you're already hypnotized. We just want to unhypnotize you because when you're little, usually between the ages of 2 and 10, when we're highly impressionable, we get a strong negative feeling, dad's an alcoholic, he's not around, mom beats us up, whatever the story is. Everybody's got different stories, but there's just a huge amount of either neglect, physical abuse, sexual abuse that people endure as young people. And sometimes it's stupid little things like, dad was mean to me when I was doing my homework and I just internalized that I'm unworthy. And it's crazy how that carries into adulthood. I had one gal that was a wonderful oral surgeon and she says, I don't know what the problem is, but I just don't feel comfortable asking for money. I said, okay, let's take care of that. We went back to the root of the problem. And again, it was a homework situation where dad said something unkind to her because her sister was even smarter than she was. That sister is now a leading surgeon in the United States.
Yeah.
But because of what the dad said, she thought, okay, I'm not worthy. So she never felt comfortable asking money for her services, even though she was brilliant and wonderful and people loved her. So we rewired that. And I called her up a couple months later. I said, hey, how's it going? And she said, oh my God, I go home with more energy. I'm a better wife. I'm a better mother. I said, dollar wise, what's it worth to you to be able to ask for what you're worth? She says, I make an extra about $10,000 a month.
Yeah.
But I mean, I had another woman who was a gallerist and she said, look, I don't know what my problem is, but when I was a lawyer, I didn't have any problem asking for money. Now that I'm a gallerist in Switzerland, I can't ask money for art. I don't know what the problem is. And so she signed up to work with me and it went back to something she completely did not expect, which is often the case because again, the subconscious mind is a huge reservoir of information and feelings and data. And a lot of stuff we've long since forgotten about, but the subconscious mind is still remembering it. So we rewired it, and now she sells paintings for $30,000 and $40,000 and has a great time.
So you help reprogram the subconscious.
Yeah, that's again, people are already hypnotized. See, this is why people don't understand hypnosis at all. It's just you have a clear thought and a strong emotion and they get wired together. And most of the time when it's a feeling that we don't want, that we want to get away from, it's shame, blame, anxiety, stress, depression, whatever it is. And I like to ask the person, how long's it been there? A lot of times I hear my whole life. Sometimes it's more current than that, but it's usually triggered by something in childhood. So we want to go back to the beginning. When did that first get fired and wired together? Because it's just been playing over and over and over and over again. Because the brain likes what's familiar. It prefers a familiar hell to an unfamiliar heaven. That's a common saying in the world of trauma. So the trick is to get the subconscious mind to see, oh, that's not, I'm an iPhone 16. I'm not an iPhone 4. And once it can see that old patterning that it's been desperately hanging on to is not serving it, it's not protecting you, it's hurting you, it's putting you in danger, then it'll be willing to make the journey from where it is to where it wants to go. But it needs that very, very clear pathway. So after I work with somebody, which takes about 2 hours, I make them a customized audio recording that they listen to each and every night to take them on that journey. It's very much like working out a weak muscle at the gym, like learning a language, like learning a new sport. It's not hard, it's not difficult, it's not complicated, but you have to follow the steps and you need to be consistent about it.
This is fascinating. And anybody can be hypnotized because I heard that some people, they resist or they can resist.
Yeah, everybody has different levels of suggestibility and that's fine. I mean, there's so many people that say they can't be hypnotized and that's garbage. They can absolutely be hypnotized. And again, it's not what you think. I mean, people think, okay, because of Hollywood and Las Vegas, this is not show hypnotism. This is, this is not your leg going numb and you drooling and clucking around the stage like a chicken. It has nothing to do with any of that. The brain is the brain is the brain. Neurons that fire together, wire together. That's Donald Hebb's law from 1948. And that's just a well-known phenomena in the way the brain functions. So to get neurons that are stuck together to unstick together, it's like there's that saying about, which wolf is going to, the young man goes to the elder in the tribe and the elder tells him the story about the good wolf and the bad wolf. And the young man says, well, which wolf wins? I really need to know. And the elder says, well, it's the wolf that you feed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's a good start.
So
Yes.
unconsciously, we're feeding the bad wolf, those neurons that are firing and wiring together of shame, of blame, of I'm not enough. Other people can get relief, but I can't. Those are just huge beliefs in the subconscious mind. They're like big fish in an aquarium. So you put in the little tiny fish that are, I'm good enough. I have abundance in my life, all the positive things, but they get eaten up by the giant fish if you don't take care of the giant fish.
So people that contact you is because they have like a physical ailment, or it's more mentally?
Really good question. The subconscious mind is so powerful. I find that it helps in all areas of life, physical, mental, emotional. People have better relationships. They make more money. So if you're struggling with a feeling that you just, don't want anymore, I work with creative people that have blocks. I've had a Grammy winner fly off my table at the end of a session going, give me a pad of paper. I just wrote a new song. I've had artists fly off the table going, oh my God, I just saw my next painting. So when we get into that relaxed state, we remove old programming that is, if you wake up every morning happy, blissful, and purposeful, this is probably not for you.
You have no
But
issues.
if you wake up with some feeling or have some, experience of life that's stressful, that's full of panic, anxiety, and it just really doesn't make sense for you in your life. I do work with a lot of high performers, but, a lot of times they're not reaping the benefits of their high performance. They've climbed the mountains, they've accomplished things, but they're still not feeling good about themselves. They still feel like they're lacking. They still feel like they're struggling all the time, or in panic all the time, or in some form of fight or flight. So I do have a half-hour consultation where I meet people on Zoom to see if it's a good fit for them at consulttara.com. Have them fill out clarity questions so they can get really clear on what's been blocking them, what it's costing them. And then I love giving people resources. So I have a whole page of reading on my website. I've had clients joke that I have read every book on the planet. Not, yeah. Yeah, because I feel like we stand on the shoulder of giants. There's really people who've done great, great work on the planet in many, many great areas. And like you, I have a podcast because I just want to share with the world all the cool stuff that I learn. So if I can give people a resource that'll solve their problem faster, cheaper, quicker, easier, whatever, I'm more than happy to offer that to them.
Yeah, so because I'm sure those people, they carry a lot from a long time ago. So you work with high profile people from Hollywood or athletes?
I have worked with lots of Olympian celebrities, people of all walks of life.
Okay.
Doctors, teachers, surgeons, lawyers.
Okay. And there's something else that you said earlier. I want to talk about. You're talking about allergies. So you could have this allergy with hypnotism because, for instance, my daughter, she's allergic to walnuts or something like that. And I think it's physical. Could that be something?
That's a great question. And so there's certain areas of physicality that, because I've had a private practice for 23 years and I've learned many ways to help people solve their problems. So if acupuncture can be great for reducing allergies, diet. Allergy specialists have tools available to them. There's a specific type of acupuncture called Nabudrapad's allergy elimination technique, which I also studied and had good success with. And there's people around the country who do that very successfully. But if somebody is in fight or flight, which is fight, flee, freeze, fawn, those are the 4 Fs. That means the alarm system in your mind is going off all the time. It's like having the alarm in your house going off all the time. How would you be if the alarm in your house was going off all the time? You couldn't sleep, you couldn't function, you couldn't think, you couldn't work. Your body's much the same way. If that internal alarm is saying, danger, danger, you've got to take care of something, there's a problem, then your body doesn't have resources available. You're in sympathetic, not parasympathetic. When you're in parasympathetic, then your immune system is turned on, your digestive system is turned on, your hormonal system is turned on. When you're panicking and you're in fight or flight, there's no time for that. Your body's fighting for its life, or it thinks it is. So sometimes people have worse allergies or headaches or migraines or seizures or fill in the blank just because they're stressed out all the time. There's no room for healing. So a lot of times these people know who they are because they've done every medical therapy. They've done a lot of the medicinal drug routes and they're not finding that they're solving their problem. Again, there's not enough energy left over for healing because they're too stressed out.
Oh, okay. But that would be with adult, right? For instance, if I'm talking about my kid,
I work with kids too.
Oh, you work with children too, right? Okay.
Well, for example, a mom was going to have to bring in a general anesthesiologist to the dental office because her daughter just could not be willing to take a shot. She just was too freaked out about getting the shot.
That's
but
me too.
after one session, she's like, yeah, bring it on. I'm good with this.
Maybe I call you for that because I need Valium when I go to the dentist.
Well, I've worked with adults also there was one restaurant owner I worked with who was going to have his head drilled on for a ear issue, and he was terrified. It catapulted him into claustrophobia. He couldn't drive through a tunnel. He was having panic attacks. And in one session, we took care of it, and he went in for the surgery. Everything was great. Because of the surgery, the anesthesia kind of triggered him back into it again. So we just did another session right after the surgery to resolve that issue.
So we're talking about acupuncture, and so what actually inspired you to pursue a career in acupuncture, Chinese medicine? Do you include that also in your therapy?
So years ago, I was in the entertainment business. I worked in production development and acquisitions, and I ended up for 2 years at the most powerful entertainment agency in Hollywood. And after 2 years, I was feeling like I was suffocating. And so I called up my homeopath one day. I mean, it was everybody in the world we had lawyers and MBAs from Harvard and Stanford working lawyers and MBAs from Harvard and Stanford working in the mailroom for minimum wage. That's how competitive this place was. Yeah. And so after 2 years, it didn't feel like it was fulfilling my soul. So I called up my homeopath one day and I said, what would I do if I want to do what you do? And when he told me, it's like, God said, okay, this is what you're going to go do. So I ended up studying, and I'm very, very glad I did, because I ended up having a lot of people in the industry as my patients after that. And a lot of them said, you're so lucky you got out. And so from there, I did acupuncture and nutritional medicine for 23 years in Beverly Hills, Santa Monica, and Belmont Shore, taught at Emperor's College and UCLA. And those are wonderful modalities and, very, very useful. And since I have found how powerful the subconscious mind is, I have devoted currently 100% of my time to doing this because it just is so life transformative for people.
So, but you don't include it, or it depends, I guess it depends on the patient. Sometimes you will
just do the subconscious mind because it's so powerful all by itself.
Okay. And I'm a fan of acupuncture. I love it. It helped me with infertility, actually. It really worked, and very fast. I was really impressed. So according to you, what would be the biggest misconception about acupuncture or Chinese medicine?
The biggest misconception about Chinese medicine, probably that it's painful. I mean, I had so many people leaving my office feeling like they were more relaxed than if they had gotten a full body massage, and that it's incredibly effective. I mean, I help people get over all kinds of problems quickly and easily. And I would say the same thing about hypnotherapy properly done. Both of these things, there's a huge variety of skill level for the person that you're seeing. So I would do research, read reviews, and just assess whether or not you feel like your needs are getting met and it's a good fit for you.
Yeah, I mean, it's becoming, it's not becoming, I think it's been popular for 1 year, especially for fertility, because I had a lot of friends who were included, general, medicine plus acupuncture, and even the doctor was telling them, you should add acupuncture, it will help. People
I was
doing IVF.
I was quoted in one of the leading fertility books as helping get some of their most difficult cases pregnant. So it's phenomenal. Yeah. And I mean, you look at the stress and the money that people are spending on IVF, it's a no-brainer. All the leading fertility clinics that I know of are doing acupuncture.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, exactly. That's what I noticed, yeah. The only thing I didn't like with this, because I went to see this doctor and he made me drink that tea.
Mm-hmm. I know.
I was thinking, but it worked within 6 weeks. It was really good. But that tea, oof, I could have done without the tea.
Sometimes people have a belief that got stuck in their subconscious mind when they were younger that they don't want to get pregnant. If they were abused as a child, they might say, I'll never have kids. I'll never bring a child into this world. Sometimes there's a belief that got stuck in the subconscious mind that's preventing that person from allowing themselves to get pregnant. So that's where hypnotherapy comes in so beautifully, because you can go to the root cause and the reason of that issue, reprogram it, and then allow. I've actually done hypnotherapy for other doctors when they were in labor, preparing them for labor, and they just said, oh my goodness, this was a real game changer for me.
Like a doula.
Yeah, sort of a mental doula.
Where have you been the last 15 years? Because I know when I was younger, I didn't want to get pregnant. And I was like, I'm not going to have kids because about my upbringing and everything in my family. So maybe I carried that with me. And after it was very difficult for me to get pregnant. So yeah, it could be also mental.
100%.
Oh, 100%, yeah. So you already told us a lot of story about positive story about people that you help. Do you have a very powerful success story of someone who experienced life changing after your work?
Often.
I know you have a lot, but like a big one, a good one?
Well, one gal was attacked by a Rottweiler and she went through 6 jaw surgeries. She was living in pain and fear of losing more teeth. And her husband called me and said, can you help her? They had 3 young children at the time. She cried in her first session because she realized that this was different. And after 3 sessions, no more surgeries, no more teeth lost, no more. She had developed a choking disorder. Every time she ate, she was at risk of going to the hospital. And so as soon, she didn't even have to finish the 3 sessions before. No more trips to the emergency room, no more surgeries, and the pain, came down nice and easy. I have another gal that saw her husband catch on fire. He's fine, but that ignited mold, babesia, mast cell inflammation. She was doing acupuncture twice a week, neurofeedback, biofeedback. Nothing was solving the problem. She became allergic to everything but 5 foods.
That's not living.
And I think one of them was salt and another one was olive oil. So she was, her husband said, look, I either have to take you to Tara or I have to take you to a mental institution because I don't know what else to do with you. And fortunately, she came to see me. And in the first session, she experienced more peace than she had had in her entire lifetime. And after the 3 sessions, she didn't need all those doctor's visits anymore.
So how come it's so fast with your session? How long is the session? Is it like an hour? You put longer hypnotism?
2 hours per session.
2 hours.
I work with people over 90 days because I find there's typically layers to things. And it's really important to me that people get from where they are to where they want to go. The people that I work with have an 8, 9, or a 10 need to change and an 8, 9, or a 10 commitment to change. And that's useful because the brain, again, it prefers that familiar hell to an unfamiliar heaven. It's going to want to default to what's familiar just because it thinks that's safe. And it's not going to be willing to make that journey to the unfamiliar, even though that's so much more desirable until it has, really good leverage and it wants to make that journey.
And that's part of the core trauma transformation. Mm-hmm. That's okay. All right.
I did it on my mother when she was walking down the street at age 89. She hit a bike rack. It dropped her to her knees. She smashed her kneecap into 13 pieces. When she was done with the surgery, I said, Mom, I know you look and feel terrible, but take a picture of yourself. You're going to be the fastest healing case on record. I made her 1 audio to speed heal the kneecap because the body is very suggestible to, you make a suggestion to the mind, to the subconscious mind, and the data on what your subconscious mind can accomplish. I mean, literally, I'm a big Joe Dispenza. Well, actually, let me finish the story with my mother first. After I made her a 2nd audio to convince the muscles they were working out, even though they were immobilized, because anybody who's ever worked with an older population that has a fall injury or a break knows that muscle atrophy can be the kiss of death when you're that age. So after 3 months, she was going up and down stairs. In 6 months, she was going up and down ladders at age 89.
This is unbelievable. So you just reprogram your subconscious to believe what you want to believe, and it will show in your body physically.
And science is proving this. And one of the best people on the planet doing this is Dr. Joe Dispenza. I've been to 10 of his live events. I just interviewed his lead scientist, Dr. Hemal Patel. They are literally tracking this and publishing these things in leading medical journals. Even thinking about a molecule that you would like to increase in the body, they are showing measurably that can be accomplished.
That episode is on your podcast?
Yes, and it's Dr. Hemal Patel, and it just came out today. So Next Level Healing, Dr. Hemal Patel. And I invite you, please shoot us a comment. Tell us what you think about it. And okay, this will blow your mind. There are people regrowing body parts that were thought to be impossible. There's 2 people that have regrown their thyroid. Yep.
Really?
There's a movie called Source by Dr. Joe Dispenza. Hemal Patel's in it. I'm actually in it, but I'm in it for like a quarter of a second. If you blink, you'll miss me. And there's a woman who I met, and I was going to have her on my podcast, but she's never been on a podcast before, so she's not up for doing it just yet. She spoke in front of 2,200 people at this event in Cancun from 83 different countries. She got the most rounding standing ovation you could imagine. She was diagnosed with rectal cancer. She had her rectum surgically removed when she came out of the surgery. In her opinion, she had made the biggest mistake ever. And she knew at that point the only thing she could do was to regrow the rectum, which is medically considered impossible.
Yes. So, it is possible.
She did it. It took her about 1.5 years.
When did that happen?
It's just actually hitting the
medical news.
Medical news, yeah. It's
Wow.
been documented by Inner Science, which is the organization connected to Dr. Joe Dispenza. And again, what they're looking at when people go into heart and brain coherence, that's again that relaxed state. People that do that work love my work because, again, when you remove those old filters of stress, I'm not enough, anxiety, whatever is getting in the way of your heart and brain coherence, you have a lot more energy left for healing. And what happens when you're in that consistent heart and brain coherence, which is, it's a meditative state done properly, your blood improves, your microbiome dramatically improves, and all holistic healthcare practitioners know that that's a strong marker of good health. They're actually looking at biomarkers, and each time you go to a Dr. Joe event for a week, you become 1 year younger.
Oh, really? Okay. If you go to the doctor but you don't have anything wrong, you're just going to check?
Yeah, just in general, because it's, again, this goes along with advanced meditators. When you spend time in heart and brain coherence, which is a relaxed state, your immune system can improve, your digestive system can improve, your hormonal system can improve. I've interviewed Dr. Ellen Langer. Also, she's one of the lead, she's the first tenured female psychologist at Harvard. And she's done multiple studies showing, she's written 13 books, how the brain influences your body.
Make me think about, I'm going to ask you about that. What's your opinion on fasting? Because.
So funny you should ask me this.
Because, everything I read and listened to this, when you fast, is you regrowing everything. I mean, your thing in your body, right?
Yes. So this is not medical advice.
I know.
If you want to fast, then do your research, talk to your professionals if you've got underlying health issues. One of my clients had done, this will blow your mind. This will really, truly blow your mind because most people think that this is impossible. It's not. I've done it twice. But she read The Phoenix Protocol by August Dunning. He used to advise NASA astronauts. He was trying to figure out ways to protect astronauts from radiation and started studying the effects of fasting. There's a documentary called The Science of Fasting, and last I checked, it is available on YouTube, but it starts out in Russia because they've done lots of studies of this on Russia. It goes to, I believe, either Germany or France, and then it ends up at the Norris Cancer Center at USC. They studied rats, and I hate animal studies like poison, but when they fasted rats for 2 days prior to receiving radiation, it turned out that the rats that fasted, none of them died, and they didn't have side effects. The rats that didn't fast, a lot of them did die, and they did have side effects. So the contrast between the groups was rather stunning. And again, I'm not giving medical advice. This is just me passing on information. I personally have done 2 dry fasts, meaning I went 1 week with no food and no water.
What? No water? Okay, the food, even that, 1 week, this is a lot. But why no water?
Yeah.
Water is good for you, right?
Well, that's what we've been led to believe.
Okay.
Well, water is good for us, but when you're drinking water during a fast, according to August Denning, again, he's a scientist whose job was to help astronauts at NASA. There are studies that show that you retain more of your muscle if you do a dry fast as opposed to a water fast or a juice fast.
How do you survive with no water for a week?
Well, see, again, this is the mistruth that we've been told, or the misinformation, or the falsehood that we've been told. Really mincing some words there. But clearly you can survive because I did it twice. It's a soft dry fast, which is meaning you can take a bath, you can take a shower, no water in the mouth, not even brushing your teeth for a week. And
Oh,
I filmed myself coming out of it both times. But you go through moments of surprising energy at times. It's not the easiest thing I've ever done, but it's also by far not the most difficult. It's easier than you think. So again, it's August Dunning, the Phoenix Protocol. He's on Instagram, and again, it was my client who had done this with her husband. And when she told me the benefits that they received, I looked at my calendar and said, "Okay, this is something I want to do." And I've done it twice because, again, what you're talking about is autophagy. Your body goes after less desirable cells when it's fasting. And again, not medical advice I'm giving anybody. This is informational only. Go do your research. There's a book by Dr. Andrew Fung, I believe, who's associated with UCLA, who's got a comprehensive book on fasting. There are good resources out there. There are medically supervised fasts that you can do because if you're taking blood sugar medication or have some health issues, obviously you want to be, careful that you don't put yourself in harm's way.
yes. So, I mean, I've done 24 hours because that's something that I was able to do. Drinking, though, that with no water,
Well,
no
here's the
food for
crazy
24
thing.
hours.
I've attempted juice fasts and water fasts on my own before. I did not succeed at them. I did succeed with the 2 dry fasts.
I think juice fast is the worst thing you could do to your body.
Really?
For me, it just, my blood pressure, my sugar level went so high with those juices. I felt like I was going to faint like around 3 p.m. I was like trembling. So I could feel that something was wrong with me. So no, juicing with no food for me is no good. But just no food, just fasting, but I was drinking water. I never felt so good in my life. I felt after, when I went back and broke the fast, start eating again, the week was really good. I really felt much better. Clear, so clear in my mind.
Yeah, it does. Your eyes look clearer and bright too. I mean,
Yeah.
when people watch the video, when I was done coming out of they're like, "Oh my gosh, your skin looks amazing. Your eyes look bright." People say, you look like you're glowing.
So what do you do during the week? You just stay home because there's no way you can walk around and I want to get if I don't drink.
I was able to walk. I visited some friends. I actually did a podcast about, I think I was on day 4 or 5. I conducted a podcast and I told them during the interview that I was that many days into the dry fast. Yeah, but I have tended to low blood pressure in my life. So, at the end, you're kind of slow when it goes to sitting from a sitting position to a standing. You're kind of going kind of slow.
Yes.
So anyway, as a health protocol, I think it's well worth looking into. The True North, I believe, in California that helps people do medically supervised. I probably the Hippocrates Clinic in Florida if somebody wanted to do that. I've been to the Optimum Health Institute, which does above the ground organic leafy green vegetable juicing. Unlike the juices that you might have been doing, these are very low sugared.
Yeah.
And
Mine wasn't good.
only natural. So after I did 2 weeks of that, I also felt, my skin looked like it was 10 years younger. And
Yeah.
and I felt better than I had felt probably my entire life. I've never gone through so many days of feeling like I didn't need to sleep because I had so much energy.
I mean, I did the juicing because I tried to do the only juicing, which wasn't good. But for a period, I was juicing every night, and replacing a meal by the juice. So I was eating during the day, and my last meal was a juice. I never saw my skin was glowing. It was really, I was thinking to myself, do I even need to put cream today? Like a regular face cream on my face because my skin was glowing just because of the juicing. Vegetable, fruits, it's all there for you. So, and just like a first question, how did you break that fast after a week? With a soup?
Very slowly. He
Yeah.
gives you instructions in the book how to do it. And again, if anybody's thinking about doing this, make sure you consult with your people, whatever pre-existing medical things you have, make sure you're addressing those and that you're doing it safely. But he does give a protocol at the end. And again, you're breaking it very slowly. It's just like very, you're You're making sure that you get the nutrients, and it's pretty much liquids for the first day or 2 or 3.
You want to shock your body, right? That could be
Yeah.
dangerous. All right. So you got 25, years in the field. So you know what you're talking about. I know the conversation, but I learned a lot of things. I'm very interested, about hypnotism. And I know that, if we could just use the subconscious to work for us like we want it, but it's so hard, right? I think you can do that by meditation. If you meditate and when you wake up, you forget about it, and things can happen because you set your goals when you meditate, and I guess you can access your subconscious like this.
Meditation's a wonderful tool. I highly recommend it. I do it myself. I have met a lot of advanced meditators, however, who still had something they really wanted to resolve in their world. And so this is a very good adjunct, and it's complementary to meditation.
That's what I'm thinking. Yeah, you can just add it. Well, thank you, Dr. Tara. It was really enlightening. A lot of information. I will put all the link, in the show notes. If people want to contact you or want to listen to your podcast or anything we talk about today, and hopefully, we can work on that subconscious and get rid of that program.
Well, just get rid of what doesn't serve and amplify what does serve.
That's a good one. Well, thank you very much. Thank you for coming.
Thanks for having me, Veronique.